Okay, we apparently are live without a countdown today, so that was super professional. So, welcome in, guys.
Liam!
Hey, it's weekend. It's weekend update. We're presented by Cool Bet. The boys got their Cool Bet swag on right now, and we got a lot to talk about. We're gonna talk a little bit of baseball. We're gonna maybe touch on hockey, but probably not. A little bit of silliness going on in the NBA, but a lot of what we're going to talk about is college football and college football players that are about to get drafted and people that you maybe don't know their name quite yet, but you're definitely going to. This is sparked by yesterday I went to go get my truck and it just felt kind of chilly. It felt like it was college football weather, like late August, early September. So I figured, why not? Why not just chat with the boys a little bit and get a sense of how things are looking? So, what's going on?
Sorry, Lee. I just got Liam's message saying I told you several times there's no countdown. And he put it on caps lock.
Well, that's that. You know what? That's our fault because we were singing a minute before we came on just to kind of make sure we were all leveled out. But yeah, that's okay. Hey, Liam, we love you either way. Eh? Don't worry about it. So let's dive right in here, boys. So we're going to talk a little bit of NFL to get started. So I know how Chad feels about this. So I want to talk holdouts at first. Now the first guy I want to talk about is Jamal Adams. Now, obviously there was the huge issue last year, or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago when he got traded to the Seahawks. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Okay. Now he already has a contract issue in Seattle. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what this guy's problem is. But if you guys were in the Seattle locker room, you want him there?
Okay. I'll answer the question for. Yeah, I want him there 100%. I mean, we had a god awful defense last year. Was on a historically bad run for the first 9 weeks of the season, and he might have been one of the only bright spots that were there. So yeah, I want him back for sure.
Okay. Well, Chad, how do you feel?
As a teammate, 100% I want him back. As Caitlin said, he was one of their bright spots. What he does lack in coverage skills, he makes up in everything else that he does. He's a tone setter. He crashes downhill. He gives you that little bit of fear if you want to play in the middle of the field. So, yeah, as a teammate, yeah, I want him back. As anybody in my front office, get the fuck out.
Right, you just gave up 2 first-round picks for this kid.
But that's just it, too. Like, how did the Seahawks not have a plan in place, man? Like, 2 first-rounders.
Like, this guy cried his way out of New York. Like the spoiled little brat that he was. I didn't get my way. I'm going to go to where I want to go because I'm going to call my shot. You go there, and now a year later, you're begging for more money. Like, he's the reason of why people bitch about this generation. I didn't get my way, so I'm going to stamp my feet. I'm going to cry and say, if I don't get my way, I'm taking my ball and going home. Guess what? Go the fuck home. We're not going to pay you anyways. If you don't show up, I don't have to pay you. And I guarantee I won't even lose my draft picks if I come out and say, this motherfucker dipped out. You can take that legally and probably get compensation back.
No chance. I mean, I don't even think, like, they would need – the only way to get compensation on that is to trade him or to let him walk in free agency. And – like, there's no way they can get those picks back from the Jets. I mean, one of them's already used, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. So, like, all I'm saying is, like, those are the kind of guys I just don't respect.
Yeah.
Can he play football? 100%. As a teammate, do I want him there? 100%. As a front office and coaching staff, get the fuck out of my face.
Well, and what does this say about, like, everybody loves Pete Carroll, and I'm no different. I'm not going to pretend like I don't love Pete Carroll. But what does this say that every year there is something like this going on in the Seattle locker room? And this year it was kind of overshadowed. I'm sure this has been going on for longer, but this thing has been overshadowed by the whole Russell Wilson thing, which it seemed like they had a little kumbaya moment there like 4 days ago at Pete Carroll's presser, and he told him to kick rocks. But what does that say for Pete Carroll and his lack of control over his locker room that he can't even – I mean, I understand it's not all on him, but you have to be able to bring in coaches that are forcing your guys to want to be in the at these training camps. And for these training camps, like I know a team, and I'm right now only following the Steelers, but the Steelers have 90 or 89 players at training camp. The only one that's missing is Stephon Tuitt, and it's because his brother passed away. That's it. Mm-hmm. All the rest of them are there, and I'm sure it's the same thing in Tennessee. I'm almost very certain that it's the same way in Tampa Bay. So Seattle is a team that's supposed to be a perennial playoff team. They're always a contender, but are they not being able? Yeah, I mean, they can't get over the hump because no one's showing up for practice.
The OTA is the most important part, right? I mean, what it says about Pete Carroll, we've been preaching culture about this for a long time. I guess maybe there isn't a culture. I mean, once you're signed, the place has been known to pay people. I mean, it really has. It pays its star players.
The culture is you come and go as you please. That's the culture.
Yeah. The inmates from the asylum. It's that simple.
As a business move, though, I mean, at the same token, though, for Adams, he's got the leverage. He is that star player. They gave up the draft picks. This is no different than what Larry Tunsil did to the Dolphins a couple years ago. He's got the leverage. They don't want to lose this guy. They're going to be an absolutely depleted team if they lose him on defense. So, I mean, you got to pony up at some point. The teams, you got to start building around something on defense.
Well, they could stop anybody getting younger. Like, what does it matter if he's there? They sucked regardless. They didn't stop anybody.
Right. Their division's only gotten better.
So I guess it's the whole theory there is just going to be Russell's going to put up like record numbers because he's going to be on the field all the time. Defense is the one and done touchdowns.
Well, they might need Russell to play corner. I mean, honestly, like the defense is falling apart here. They might need to kick one of the corners to safety and have Russell out there playing like it's back in the high school days.
I'm sure Team 3 would be all about that because they seem like they're all about the team.
Well, I mean, if you ever want to know about it, just ask him. This guy is not shy to tell you how much he loves himself.
Who's this?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, Russell. Yeah.
Man. Russell Danger Wilson.
Yeah, I'm tired of that guy. You know what? Like I had a little bit of respect for him when he played for Wisconsin because obviously there was a few battles between him and my boy Kirk Cousins, and one went our way, another one didn't. That's okay. But this guy comes out. I think he was a second or a third round pick. The guy has started every single game since he's been in the league, if I'm not mistaken, and now he's starting to whine that his offensive line sucks. Like, dude, your offensive line has always sucked. They have never had a good offensive line.
But Shane, now the hits hurt harder, or they hurt longer. He wakes up and aches more. He needs that protection.
Yo, get the boy some Toradol or some CBD oils and rub it on there and make him feel better. Or I don't know, ask Sierra to give you a massage when you get home. Who cares?
You know what my favorite part of Russell's game is?
None of it.
Well, it's really good to chat about the game after and all his moon shots.
Yeah, I knew where this was going.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah. Hey,
loser.
Hey, I will say, no one throws a moonshot like old Rusty, but I don't know.
This sort of cut you off, just because.
That's okay.
Our good old boy Renault's beard always comments on us, always shares us, always likes all of our stuff. Amazing guy on our social medias. He did say something a little bizarre the other day. He came out and he thinks that Kirk Cousins, because you brought up, is a top 7 quarterback in this league.
Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, like if I've owned like you guys are both homers. You don't lie about it, you don't deny it. But
do you mean the NFC or in the NFL?
In the NFL.
Okay. Yeah.
He said he's a number 7 quarterback. And I was like, I think he's good for what you guys do because I didn't want to like.
He might be the number 7 in his division. Like, come on.
Holy shit.
I'm being facetious there, but come on, man. The guy's great for chewing up numbers or getting great yardage at the end of the game when they're down by 2 or 3 scores. He's got good accuracy when the team's playing prevent defense, and every once in a while he puts a highlight film out there. But so did Jake Locker. Like, give me a break.
Ugh.
Well, that's a bit much. You can't put.
Come on,
how you
man.
do Kurt like that?
The only reason he's still around is because teams committed so much money to him. Realistically, if they didn't pony up and give him that contract, he probably wouldn't have been where he is right now. He'd be floating around the league like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yo, you keep Kirk Cousins' name out of your mouth, okay?
Oh,
me saying he's not number 7. He's not in the top 7. He's not in the top 7.
Time and place for Kirk Cousins, and it's not anymore.
Yeah, it's fucking Minnesota in September, pal.
Also, you leave Kirk Cousins' agent's name out of your mouth because that guy is a goddamn saint.
Who's his agent?
It doesn't matter. He gets paid.
That guy,
I thought you had some connection with the guy.
No. but this guy's I mean, he's probably somewhere in like the 13 to 15, probably closer to 13 than 15. But we can go through that if we have a little bit. Like that is a good point. I do like Reno, and I think that we should be getting him on for one of these so we can have a little conversation about that. But Reno, come on, man, pull your shit together. There was another guy in Miami holding out, and this is a guy that Kalen would grab and give a two-hand twisty to, and that's Xavier Howard. And apparently this this thing has been going on for a little bit, and I don't know what the problem is in Miami. They just whacked a few guys out off the defense. Can they afford to lose Xavier Howard? Am I wrong on this?
I don't think any team could afford to lose Xavier Howard. He could have been the MVP last year, and Kalen was high on him all year long for all the right reasons. The guy shut down half a field. He's probably right there 1A, 1B with Jalen Ramsey.
Right.
And I don't know what he's getting paid. I'm not going to sit here and make up a number. But if Jalen's getting 20, he needs to be getting around 18 on the low end. And you're playing against Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen twice a year. Outside of that, your division sucks. Like, you don't got another one Cam Newton.
Has he even been paid like that? Like, is he's within like the last 5 years, right?
Yeah, he was he not traded to Miami? I can't remember how he got to Miami anyway, but yeah, I mean, like I've watched a team that has no corners or see their corners get picked apart for a year. Like, don't lose your stud corner. This guy shut down, as Chad said, shut down the side of the field. He plays both man and zone incredibly well. One of the reasons Miami's defense was so fun to watch is because of the pressure they got on the quarterback. And they got that pressure on the quarterback because their secondary played really, really well. Don't break that up. The guy, like Chad mentioned about the defensive player of the year, he really, I don't know, he had a real good, strong case for it, right? I feel that he kind of got ripped off there. I know Shane's not going to agree with me.
No, I don't agree with that. That's bullshit.
But those type of corners, they're very few. Now, that was an incredible leap that he did in the way that he was playing in the last year. So is it going to continue? I think it will, because that doesn't just fall off. And again, he was the main reason why Miami's defense was really good. When you can take down the hash marks to the borderlines there, you're going to win. Right.
Well, for him, I mean, what year is he in the league right now? Is it 4 or 5?
No, I don't think he's that young. I want to say he's over 25.
Okay, so you think that he's gotten his second contract already?
Maybe he's like restricted tender or something.
Okay, so he's probably making like $2 or $3 million. Like, would you not, if you were this guy, your team seems like it's getting a little bit better, your coach, your culture is changing, would you not just show up to fucking camp and play some ball and get some dollars?
He's 27.
He's 27. Oh, okay,
yeah. So he's been paid.
So if this guy won't even show up, if I'm sitting there as the GM, thinking this guy is way too close to 30 for me to get excited about, so sorry about your luck. Get out. Why don't you go enjoy the New York Jets?
But he was drafted at 25. That's crazy.
What?
Let me make sure I make this right.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
No, sorry, 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
21.
Yeah.
Mike in the chat is saying Lonzo to Miami.
What's that?
Mike in the chat is saying Lonzo to Miami.
Is he talking about football or is he talking
like Kiko?
about
Again?
Could you ask him for clarity? Could we get some clarity, Mike, on your question? Well, yeah, we'll keep going. Is there anybody else that's holding out that you want to talk about? We're waiting for Mike to get back to us.
Xavier signed a 5-year deal for 77 in 2019.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So he's only 2 years in his deal and he's holding out. Get the fuck back on the field.
Yeah.
It is that simple.
Yo, this is that Antonio Brown bullshit. Liam, did you get any clarity from Mike? All right. Mike, if you're still watching and you want to ask your question, go ahead. But if not, we're going to move on to this. Is something that I was super passionate about when I saw it. And I had to write it down because this is not one that you could forget about.
Unless he's talking about Lonzo Ball.
Well, that's what I thought too, which is fine. I mean, if we could talk about basketball
Mike,
later
show
on.
your work.
Yeah. The ESPN NFL Live crew was ranking the top 10 AFC teams. and I'm gonna give them to you in the order here, and don't interrupt me because there's gonna be lots of time to talk about this because there's a lot of bullshit on here. So
wait, hold on. Who's gonna interrupt? Is it because Chad doesn't give two flying what's about the AFC, right?
Yeah.
You can swear on the show, Caitlin. It's allowed.
Yo, I just said don't interrupt me. All right, back to action here. We got Kansas City, Buffalo, Cleveland, Baltimore, Tennessee, LA Chargers, Miami Dolphins, Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, Denver Broncos. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, you're high on the
There's
Broncos.
a big name missing there, and it's a real popular one around the world, isn't it?
They got the Steelers ranked as 12 in the AFC, not even in the NFL, in the AFC.
So wait, they got Baltimore and Cleveland above them, right?
They have Cleveland at 3rd.
They have New England and Denver ahead of them.
Denver, yeah.
Yo, both teams don't even have a quarterback. Both teams don't even have a quarterback right now.
Drew Lock.
I do.
Weren't you high on him last year? Is the switch off?
Hey, you know what else was around last year? The coronavirus. That thing's fucking dead. Move on. Move on. So I want to understand something.
Okay.
You go out and you fix the thing that was the worst part of your game last year. I think they were 13-3. So you go out and you fix the best part. Your schedule is a little bit tougher. Ben Roethlisberger is on his 2nd year after a Tommy John. If you ask any pitcher that's ever had Tommy John, you're only starting to get actually back to your real active arm strength in the 2nd year. You got Juju. You got Claypool coming back. What am I missing, guys? Explain this to me. Your defense is fucking studs.
Is it a power ranking thing, or are they talking about where you guys are gonna land?
No, it's stupid. It's fucking clickbait. They have the Cleveland Browns as 3rd.
And you fell for it.
Yeah, I did, and I'm pissed off about it.
Well, Cleveland. I'm going to split it out here right now. Cleveland's going to have an easy year. I think they're going to have a high win year because they're a 3rd place team, or they're playing 3rd place teams on their schedule this year, right? Because of where they landed in their division last year.
They're still Cleveland.
You're right. They're still Cleveland, but they're playing weak teams. I feel so they're going to have a tough schedule. Or they're going to have
Lamar Jackson's trash.
Yeah, that's the toss up there. Now, here's the thing. Am I going to see Ben Roethlisberger have a weird season, or am I going to see Lamar Jackson, become a quarterback? I think that I'm probably going to see Lamar Jackson not be a quarterback. It's more likely.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had a bet and say Big Ben throws 30 touchdowns.
Whoa, I don't know
and
if
only
30.
and
I'm
7
not
picks.
30.
Or Lamar Jackson goes out and becomes an accurate quarterback. Which one are you taking? I'm taking Big Ben throwing 30.
For sure. I'm going to even bump that up. I think 35.
Wow. I don't think he's going to break 30. I think there is going to be a heavy run game this year, and we may see Ben's, just over 20 touchdowns. He may turn into the game manager, man. And that's okay. If Ben throws 20 touchdowns and you guys have a heavy run game and it works, that's okay for Steelers football. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but what we're talking about, you're saying that his attempts are going to go down, but his touchdowns aren't necessarily. If they're on the 5-yard line, I'm telling you right now, Ben Roethlisberger is checking out of any play to a throwing play. I'm telling you that right now.
Listen,
I've watched every single one of his games since he's been in the league.
That running back,
Najee Harris is.
It's very fun at that age to not have to worry about throwing the ball, just to hand it to a guy who's going to take a hit from 2 or 3 grown men, and still be able to get the ball in the end zone. I think Harris is going to have a breakout year. I think it's going to be crazy what Pittsburgh's going to do in the run game this year with that kid being there.
Ben Roethlisberger is not comfortable not being the center of attention. I'm telling you that as a Steelers fan, he's not comfortable with that. So what I'm telling you is if they're on the 1-yard line, watch for a play action, fucking chuck into the corner. And they just drafted this tight end that's 6'8" out of Penn State. That guy's probably going to have 10 touchdowns.
We'll have to see.
Yeah. Anyway, is there anybody else in that lineup that you guys disagree with? Because, I feel like Cleveland
the Chargers
at 3
at 5 is a fucked up one.
Yeah, that's a joke also.
So who was were they number 2 in their division last year? Again, it comes down to who they're playing, because if they're playing the 3 teams again, I think they can make a pretty big jump too.
I don't think Oakland's the worst team in that division.
I agree.
You don't think they're the worst?
No.
The Chargers aren't ready yet. They just fired their coach, man. They fired their coach for a reason. They didn't fire their coach because they had such a great roster. They drafted a quarterback, and he ended up working out really, really well. And I think that they have an exciting offense, but that doesn't make them a good football team. Their defense is still shit.
I agree. But
so how could you be a top 5 team in your conference if you have a shit defense?
I think they make a push, man. I think what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like 1 and 2 are locks. That's a given.
For sure.
And then they said 3 was Cleveland, and that's just Cleveland's Cleveland.
Even if we're assuming, okay, let's just leave Cleveland there. Even if we want to say Baltimore's 4 and Tennessee's 5, you're telling me that the LA Chargers are ahead of a Hall of Fame quarterback with a roster that's coming back, a rebuilt offensive line, and they just drafted a running game? Stop it.
Is this what I look like when you guys bring up Titans to me?
No, because I'm being right and realistic and accurate.
Like, are you okay with the Chargers being 1 spot behind the Titans? There, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Man, I think quarterbacks can make or break a team. And Justin Herbert, man, like
I think you need to go into politics. You're not even answering the question.
I think I'm not okay with them being behind us by 1. Yeah.
So if they're 1 spot in front of you, how mad would you be?
I'd be a little upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ultimately these mean nothing. But it's pretty much the only thing we have to talk about right now. So talking about it makes sense. The fact that the Miami Dolphins, like, they think Tua is going to be good. Give me a break. New England has decided
5 picks in the first OTA. He cleaned it up yesterday or today, but my God, 5 picks.
It's fucking pass skelly, man. It's pitch and catch. The DBs aren't even supposed to intercept the ball.
Yeah. I'm willing to
threw the ball to the wrong guy. Never once those OTAs are meant to build confidence for your offense and quarterback and receivers.
Right.
I did like
you want to try to incomplete a pass.
I did like Flores' response, though, when he said that he basically said what you said. This is your time to build it, but this is also the time to take your shots. That don't take your shot in the middle of a game or late or middle of the season or something like that and not know what it was like to take that shot first.
Well, they don't let him take shots in the middle of the season anyway because they replace him with the backup.
Yeah, I wonder how.
Like that team is a disaster. And I'm going to tell you, like, if we were stopping at 4 and we were saying the Titans, after that it goes the Colts, and then you're starting to get a little bit jumbled up, and then that's where the Steelers enter the conversation. It's probably the 6th or 7th best team in the AFC. They're a playoff team in the AFC. I don't think anybody can debate that. Mike Tomlin has never coached a team with a losing record. Let's put that in respect. Like, this guy hasn't been in the league for 2 years or 3 years. Like, that's a big deal. He's got it figured out. They were 13-3 last year. Just stop. They're not worse than the Dolphins.
Do you think that the Steelers are due for a regression?
They already have. They were only 13-3 last year.
Fuck off.
Well, remember when Tennessee went 15-1 last year?
Yeah, and you're talking regression. You know the Steelers haven't won a fucking playoff game in like 11 years? You're talking about regression. Like, they haven't won a playoff game since, I'm pretty sure, that Super Bowl. Actually, there was a wild card game in Cincinnati when that's when Antonio Brown kind of took a turn for the worse there, and Perfect hit him in the melon. Maybe
people just think the sun's setting in Pittsburgh, man. You had the better half of a decade on a weak division, and
yeah, it fucking sets at 9:00, and then it comes right back up at 7 a.m. Ben Roethlisberger, baby. Don't sleep on a guy who's going to Hall of Fame. That's just stupidity. And if anybody thinks that they're gonna have a losing record and be picking in the top 10 next year, kick rock. They haven't picked in the top 10 in how long? And multiple times they've started season 0-4. There's a good football team. There's a good structure there. Moving on. You guys weren't watching the Jays game yesterday, right? We're going to talk a little bit of baseball here for a second because we need to calm things down a little bit before we get back into college football.
Yanks and the Jays.
I'm telling you right now, my blood pressure is super high, and I'm not sure I could talk about this fucking Texas quarterback right now. So let's talk about the Jays for a second here. So not only are they finding new ways to lose, but if I were to ask you how many saves they've blown since May 20th, how many would it be?
Saves or just games?
Saves. I mean, games are.
I was going to say that's double digits.
Game.
Probably at least 5.
I'm going 7.
So you guys are right in the middle. So it's 6. They've blown 6 saves since May 20th.
Wow.
And
Skill.
That's really hard, man.
That is, the average team has about 10 a year. So,
and all against division opponents too, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you're going to make it hurt, you got to make it hurt double. So yesterday, like, things are starting to boil over. A couple of nights ago, Charlie Montoya came out and he was just like, the bullpen's not good enough. We need to start figuring this out. Vladdy hits a home run in the 9th. The bullpen drops to their knees and gets Riley Reed. And they are just terrible. And then yesterday, we're going in, Ross Stripling. He's pitching okay. First fucking play of the game. Error. Okay, cool. They end up scoring a run on it. Big deal. But later on in the game, Panic makes another error. And Stripling went nuts on him. Flips out, calls him out. He's slapping his glove. He's since apologized, and that's where I think it goes wrong. But he's since apologized. Said, I shouldn't have done that. I got to control my emotions. But how do you guys feel about a pitcher calling out a third baseman in the middle of the game?
All day. I have no problem with it. No one gets mad when the quarterback calls out a receiver.
So different.
No one gets.
I agree. I think that's
but...
you call a mound. There's a mound visit there. I think that you call. You call everybody in. You have a conversation because if the tables were turned, if that guy put a pitch down the middle and that guy jacked it, is anybody gonna? I can't think of the last time I saw a pitcher get called out by any of the infield when a home run happens.
Well, and this guy is a gas can on the mound, so just wait. If he wasn't begging for forgiveness from Joe Panic, who's not even a regular, like, this is your utility infielder, you're calling out for a bad defensive play in a game in June. So like we're not talking about the playoffs here. We're not talking about a big game.
Playoffs.
Yeah, we're talking about the middle of June and you throwing a tantrum. And if I was Joe Panic, the next game I'm in there that Ross Stripling is pitching, first home run, I am standing at my base and I am clapping for him because what you said is absolutely 100% correct. A quarterback will call out a receiver. In hockey, a star player is going to yell at a rookie. In basketball, it's going to happen because there's basically no coaching in basketball. But in baseball,
especially right now,
yeah, in baseball, it's just a little bit different. And I had no real problem with it as, I didn't play high level, but I've seen stuff like that happen at the baseball that I played. I had a problem that he came out and like went on this like apology tour. If you're gonna do it, just like stand by it, man.
I don't know. Maybe his wife got in his ear.
No, he barely even made it to the locker room. He was trying to hug him in the dugout. It was a joke.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he realized what he did right away. I don't know. I feel bad for both of them in that situation, but I do not feel bad for the Jays. They put themselves in this spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations. What are they going to do at the trade deadline? What are they going to do at the trade deadline? I'd be like, they're probably going to sell off some of their pieces and, rebuild for next year because this one, they're letting this one get away from them. And I'm not sure that there's enough help out there that they can actually acquire to fix this bullpen. I mean, they wouldn't even be able to touch the defense, and the defense is an issue too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our update on baseball. But I guess there is still a big thing in baseball. I was talking to you about it just before we came on, before Liam forgot to give us the countdown. Do you guys think that baseball is going to go on strike after this World Series?
Man, the way you had brought it up right before, and I'm sorry if I'm taking your line from you here, but the way that the players are being treated in regards to these baseballs that we've talked about before, I think they could go on strike. It's gonna boil down to a few things, but I think that baseball being changed all the time is going to be a stickler for sure.
Well, between that and, I mean, you're changing the rules midway about what a pitcher can do and can't do, and you're penalized. I mean, if a starting pitcher gets caught, I mean, you're knocking him out for 2 starts plus the start that he's a part of. So, I mean, you're and without pay, right? So, I mean, if you're a young pitcher trying to get paid.
And I've talked about before that the cheating that's happened in baseball, aside from just the the foreign substances. There's a lot, like the Houston Astros getting caught there with the banging against the garbage can and stuff like that. I think that the fact that the players had this really bad image put on them when everybody has been known that it's just going on. And I said it before we came on, Dallas Keuchel coming out and saying that, it's sad that the players from Houston got a black eye because we were keeping up with the times. Everybody does this on every team. There was some form of it. Yesterday, there was some stats guy put out a Twitter thread giving examples of sign stealing in baseball and how rampant it is. I read a story. I don't know if this is true, Shane, if you've ever heard of this or not, but the Twins, apparently there are stories about their dugout or something in the outfield. If you open the door right at the hit, it creates a suction, so it can create more home runs, and they're known to shut the door during the opponents hitting the ball to create that back force against. There's no home runs for the opposing team. I have no idea. No, if this is true. The fact these things are even being put out, it's incredible that if this is made up, that the people go to these lengths. But there does seem to be a lot of cheating in baseball, and I think that players are sick and tired of being the ones that are being pinned on it. When I never played competitive baseball by any means, but I don't think that I would have learned to cheat with my teammates behind my coach's back. And my coach is certainly not doing it behind the friggin' GM's back. And
there's a word you keep using, and we got to go back to it. And you're not using it out of context, but you're saying cheat. You're saying that these teams are cheating. Now,
okay, sorry, you're right. Yeah, sorry. I view it as cheating because I'm not. Yeah. I'm going to the game, I guess.
So like in baseball, our third base coach, we had a system. If he said my first name, it was a fastball. If he said my last name, it was a breaking ball. And why is that? Because the catcher is putting his fingers down too low, and he can see what finger he's asking the pitcher for. He can tell what pitch is coming next. Also, I mean, if I'm looking at a third base coach and I see him keep touching his nose, and then he's doing a whole bunch of other shenanigans, and the guy keeps stealing, well, yeah, I know your sign. So the second that I see that sign, I'm stepping off the mound. So is that stealing, or is that just being smarter than the other team?
It's called doing homework.
Yeah. And
it's no different than watching game tape. It's no different than just watching what your opponent does before you get there. They sit there for hours on end watching tape on pitchers, on catchers. It's just doing your homework. It's not cheating.
Right. And if it's called cheating because the other guys didn't think of it, then I think that's just called innovation. Just get better with your signs. But even this baseball thing, if you can't get anything on your hands, you're basically telling a pitcher that he can't wear sunscreen. Because I promise you, if you have sunscreen on your arm, a little bit of sunscreen and rosin can go a long way, eh?
Well, that's what Bauer said when he was called out, and the other pitchers have said when they were called out. And everybody thought that it was crazy that mixing rosin and sunscreen together has been known now for a few years to add some spin rate to the ball. And these players
just good skincare.
You're allowed to wear sunscreen.
It's just good skincare. I was never a rosin guy. I was more of like a base chalk, but it's the same type of thing.
Yeah. So, but and again, I'm foreign to the game, but there's football. There is no examples, and when it does happen, it's very few and far between. But I can't think of examples of like rampant cheating or rampant advantageous things that are happening that we just continue to hear through baseball all the time.
Right. I think of the scene in Casino where he has to bash up his hand because he's getting the signals and it's tapping his leg. You know the thing I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it's that's happening. It's not like you're getting a tap on your leg with an electronic device that's saying, there's a fastball coming, you better get ready. Just, you're being a clown and your coach is better than the other coach.
Oh, so you have no problem with Alex Cora then?
No.
Okay, good. So I thought that in the past you had some issues with him because of his
I would always have an issue with him because he was a Red Sox manager. But like, I have no problem with something like that. Like, this isn't Deflategate. This is nothing.
Hey, you leave Tom's name out of your mouth.
This is like saying a receiver can't get a grass stain on his jersey because it might stick the ball to it.
That's better.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
That's how stupid it is. And it's only blown out of proportion because social media is a big thing. And all the people that don't watch baseball are sitting at home with their pants around their ankles, beating off to all this bullshit they read on Twitter.
I guess where I would compare it close enough to is when we used to spit on our gloves and rub them together real hard to get that extra tack right before we go for that pass play, right? It's not supposed to be there, but...
Yeah. Hey, it's there. let's
Also, if you see a receiver spit on his gloves, it's usually a red flag that it's a pass play.
yeah.
Throw that out there for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spin this one off to you guys because it's a little bit of basketball, and like I watched a little bit of basketball, and I am tired of betting on basketball. That's for sure. The Bucks blew a 16-point lead on Tuesday night. And
You broke the Hawks.
I broke the 76ers. They blew a 26-point lead yesterday.
Yeah, Doc Rivers.
Back-to-back game blown leads, right?
Doc Rivers fucked the 76ers, not you.
Yeah. They had a 99% chance to win the game. And they blew it. But anyway, the fact that I'm going to start with the firings, and then I'm going to give you a chance to chat about your boy KD there, Kalen. So what is going on in basketball? Like, have they just realized that they don't actually need head coaches anymore? Because it looked like every single coach that didn't make the playoffs, and even a couple that did, are getting kicked out the door here.
Well, the Carlisle one, I think that from what I'm reading, there was some Luka tension there between him. It was some soft tension that was probably going to become some pretty rough stuff next season. So he just kind of he said it was all on him stepping away. I think he was, if it came down to the team having to choose between Luka or Carlisle, I think we know where the option lies, right? So,
well,
there's the other coaches, like, you know,
this is the only sport that would happen, because if Rodgers was saying he had a problem with LaFleur, they're obviously not making a move on that. So, like, this is a basketball related issue.
Yeah, I would say that there are certainly teams, obviously, like Popovich is a great example. Certainly teams that are driven through the coach, but then there are certainly teams that the players on the court are doing most of the work throughout the game. Maybe they're prepped throughout the week, but when it comes to game time, outside of a few draw plays on the sidelines, the players are calling the plays. I don't think that was the case in Dallas. I mean, Carlos is an incredibly respected coach. I don't think that's the case at all. But Washington, like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you expect? Like, I don't know what you thought you were going to get out of that team in that division. Like, you don't have, like, I'm sorry, you don't have the defensive ability to really compete with anybody. And maybe this is just a reach to keep Beal around. Maybe that's what it is, because he already said he was non-committable with sticking around, right? So
I don't know. I'm already sorry that I brought this up, because I don't really care about the NBA. Liam, do we have any questions
it's very interesting, though. I mean, not interesting. It's the West Finals got a little bit more interesting there with the fact that CP3 was out because of COVID, and now Kawhi goes down with a torn ACL.
Is it torn?
Yeah. So
for
now, I mean, all the weight's going to lie on Devin Booker and Paul George to carry the load. But I like that. I mean, it sucks that we're not going to see Kawhi if he does make it. But, man, the Toronto fans are vicious, man. Talking karma. That's all I heard today. A couple times. Karma.
That's just stupidity.
That's Toronto fans. I've said this all year long about hockey.
Terrible, man. He got you a championship.
Man, there's no love in Toronto. They're not even fans. That's why.
Ruthless.
Yeah. So one quick note on basketball, because just when you think basketball is getting back up here, KD comes out, puts out a performance that I was captivated by it. I actually watched that game, mostly because I picked the Bucks, but watching KD do what he did was amazing. But then in the post game, I was reminded by why I hate basketball, or the NBA more specifically. Reggie Miller comes out and says, "Oh, you know what? If I was Steve Nash, I would just sit Kevin Durant and sit Harden and just go all in for Game 7. Like, don't even travel to Milwaukee."
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right? Like, these are like, and honestly, I don't know if it's just a skit or something he's trying to put out there just to create controversy or create clickbait. But what? Could you imagine if the coach went to Reggie Miller at some point and said, "Hey, we're going to sit you Game 6. Get ready for Game 7." Not a chance.
Well, that's the thing. He comes from a different era too, right? Like, he doesn't come from the load management era. So
yeah, that's terrible.
It's almost like he was forced to say that, or like the Brooklyn Nets owner maybe has something to do with TNT. So he's like, "Hey, say this just in case we decide to do it. Let's pull the fans on it." But I don't know. I got to pour my beer.
It wouldn't be an NBA conversation if we didn't have to bring up LeBron's name. But if the playoffs are over and he's out and he still has to get his name out there, but he's out there tweeting about how he said all along he called all these injuries from the beginning and from the get-go because they pushed from the bubble to the regular season too quick and players needed time to rest and yada, yada, yada. I know all about the off-season recovery that we need. If anybody knows more than me, they're crazy to like fuck off, man. Shut up. Like people talk about Kawhi Leonard, talk about load management. The guy got load managed for the last 3.5 seasons. Like, relax. Come on.
Chad, you done with the NBA yet?
I was done before it started.
All right, cool. Let's roll back to football. We're gonna talk college football. We kind of teased this at the start, but I was reading this article on Bleacher Report. I don't want to pretend like I came up with all this, but it was talking about top 25 college teams that are going to have new quarterbacks. And it could be because this was a great year for the quarterback coming out in the draft. But it seems like there's a lot more guys that are fresh faces on good teams. So I'm going to give you a couple names. I don't know if you guys have any. Like I have a bunch written down here. So first one is Amory Jones for Florida. If you say you know who he is, you're either a Florida fan or you're lying.
I don't know who that guy is at all. What should I know about him, Shane?
He's been there for 3 years. He's been in and out of the game. He has 6 total touchdowns. He was recruited highly, but other than that, I mean, the only thing that we really know about him is that he's an athletic guy that can move out of the pocket and make all the throws.
Okay.
I've never seen him play.
Okay.
Have you guys ever heard of him?
No.
Are you worried for him going into the SEC?
Absolutely.
He gonna die.
yeah.
He gonna die.
Yeah. There's a lot of receivers that aren't in Florida anymore that were drafted this year. So I don't know. I would imagine that the Florida Gators have a pipeline, but I don't know. I can't imagine that Florida's going to the Natty this year.
No, there's a team called Alabama in the SEC, and they're pretty good at football.
Alabama's on this list, so just wait. Pretty amazing. So I'm going to move on to Casey Thompson, who is now the quarterback of Texas. His only game action was in the Alamo Bowl.
The bowl game, yeah.
After the Tony Romo lookalike got hurt his shoulder, whatever his face, Ellinger.
Sam Ellinger, yeah.
I mean, 8 for 10, 170, 4 touchdowns. I guess that's pretty. That sounds pretty good for football.
No, yeah.
So is this finally the guy, Kalen?
Oh my God. Well, we got a new head coach, which seems to be the case every 4 years in Texas lately. I'm excited.
Matthew McConaughey is the coach, or did they
Steve
go with somebody else?
Sarkisian.
Oh, okay.
Alabama's old OC.
Oh.
So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table.
RPO, a lot of RPO.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. Do I expect 50% of his throws to be touchdowns? No, not happening. And in the Big 12, hey, anybody's got a chance, especially for a team like Texas who invests a lot of money into football.
Well, he's got a hose. I saw a couple of the highlights from the Alamo Bowl, and like, it's not like they were playing top tier competition, but I don't know. A nice throw is a nice throw, no matter what defender's in front of you.
You're damn right. And they got some support, returning cast at wideout too. So not that, he would have had that time to really build rapport with that first team. Maybe he did or not, but he's been around, so he's got the rapport with some of the players there.
Yeah. So that's 2 pretty big programs, and those 2, they're not even the biggest programs that are changing quarterbacks. So I'm going to give this one to Chad. So Notre Dame has Jack Cohen, who is transferred from Wisconsin. We don't know a lot about him. We know that he's very good at handing the ball off because he had Jonathan Taylor there with him for the year that he played. So, Chad, is this guy going to fit in? He's not Ian Book, that's for sure.
No, Ian Book was a gamer, and I think the Saints got a steal with Ian Book in the 4th round. I won't go down that road. Probably one of the best quarterbacks ever come out of Notre Dame. Definitely the last 20 years, right up there. For what we do, as far as this kid goes, without putting down my own team, he didn't have to beat out much. Brandon Pine, I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's that bad of a quarterback. He's too small for my liking, and I think that was part of the reason why. I think he's only 6 feet tall.
So is this transfer, is this bad recruiting that they didn't have a bridge between?
No, we had 2 guys transfer out.
Okay.
Because Book stayed. Because Book stayed for his 5th year. because he wanted to go back for a chance to the national. So we lost two quarterbacks, and like Brandon Pine was fourth on the depth chart going into this year, and he had to become number 2. He's not ready yet. I think maybe in time he will be. Like I said, he's not very big. So I think this is the right call. Like we had to go out and get one to still compete. We're going to run the ball. It's who we are. We have Carwin Williams back. That kid that tore up the ACC last year is pretty much him and ETN on every highlight the whole season long.
And you got Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle, that guy's a top 3 pick in the NFL next year. So on defense. So that's really going to help us out. But yeah, no, as far as offensively, it's the right move. We had to bring somebody in. He didn't play last year at all, but the year before he did go for 18 touchdowns and 5 picks. I know he had Jonathan Taylor there, so that really helps it out. But a guy that doesn't turn the ball over, that's going to work really well in Brian Kelly's simplistic offense.
Mm-hmm. So the next one that I have, and I'm relying on you guys. If not, we're just moving on. Next question kind of thing. Anthony Brown at Oregon. My exact note on him is I have no clue. Never heard of him. Well, I thought Tyler Sott was the quarterback of Oregon. Turns out he transferred to Texas Tech.
Did he?
So my response is the Pac-10 is trash, or Pac-12 is trash.
Okay.
And you're literally playing to beat one team. You just got to beat USC every year.
So
and
they air it out. They give their quarterbacks chances. So
right. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing. I couldn't find anything on him. Apparently, he played a little bit for Oregon at the end of last year. I can't tell you that I watched it. So, Texas A&M has a new quarterback for the first time in 5 years. So, Heinz King, again, don't know him. Probably going to know him. Don't really care. It was worth mentioning because Texas A&M was on the bubble of making the playoffs last year. But these are 3 teams that are 3 major teams that we're going to talk about next. So, and not saying Notre Dame and Texas are major. Don't fucking come at me like that. Ohio State. CJ Stroud has played 3 snaps in his collegiate career, has never thrown a pass. He has 1 rushing play, but it went for a 48-yard touchdown. So do you feel like this guy is ready to step in at Ohio State?
I don't think it matters. There's 2 programs in the country. It doesn't matter who's under center. And I know one of them is going to be on your list again after this.
Next 2,
Alabama and Ohio State. What they do, they can plug and play any quarterback because they're always going to get a top talent. Because even if you might not go to the next level, if you can win a national championship, and that alone is going to bring in top talent. Ohio State has sent quarterbacks to the NFL, so therefore, whether they've panned out or not, you're still going to the NFL. Alabama has sent quarterbacks to the NFL. So you're always going to get those top 20 kids. Number 1, you win. And number 2, you're at least getting a try to the next level.
Right.
And both those rosters, from head to toe, is stacked with NFL talent. It's going to make good football players look really good. It's going to make really good football players look fucking amazing. And that's where those two teams are different from everybody else in the country. So, yeah, I think Stroud and I think Bryce Young in Alabama, yeah, they haven't played yet, and I'm not worried about either of those 2 kids.
Right. And Stroud's got 2 of the top 3 receivers that are going to be picked in the next draft. So he'll probably be fine. Is it any
coincidence that we don't have to worry about the quarterbacks that get plug and played in Alabama or Ohio, and there are always running backs coming out of those 2 teams too? Right.
Right.
They make it incredibly easy for those quarterbacks. They let them grow and flourish. No doubt.
There's always everything. And Chad brought up Bryce Young. Outside of high school numbers, which mean nothing, but they're pretty ridiculous. The guy had 152 touchdowns in high school.
That's retarded.
He was the number 1 quarterback in the whole country, and he's going to the number 1 program. Once again,
crazy.
He's going to be okay. Alabama is going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be fine. And then Clemson, obviously the big loss. Trevor Lawrence was a huge loss, but DJ Ualungale, I believe is his last name. You know what you're getting. You already know, you've seen him play. He beat Boston College, and they lost to Notre Dame. Other than that, that's all they had, right?
Hmm.
Now, if we were to talk about guys that are going to get drafted this year, now there might be, in normal years, there might be guys that would be on both lists. This year, it doesn't seem like that. The only guy would be Tyler Stott, who is going to Texas Tech, who I'm not sure that we're ready to say that's a top 25 team. So let's just move on from that. But Chad's boy, Spencer Radler, is supposed to be the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Now, we're not going to let Chad talk about him because he really doesn't care for him too much. But, Kalen, are you ready for back-to-back quarterbacks going first overall?
Oh my gosh. And it would be for Oklahoma. It would be what both their quarterbacks that they've had at the helm would be back-to-back first overalls too. Right, Baker?
Well, yeah, Baker, yeah. Well,
Baker,
Jalen Hurts was in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
And Kyler Murray, yeah. Kyler Murray too, yeah.
I mean, the kid balls. Oklahoma balls. I hate saying that when they're in the Big 12. So I don't anticipate him having some kind of regressive year. He's going to play well. So yeah, he could go number 1. I'm really intrigued with Sam Howell. I really am. I know he had two.
He's number 2.
Yeah, I know he had 2 really good running backs there last year, and one of them was heavy in the reception game too. And so they could take some weight off of him there. But I think that he's got the talent. North Carolina has been putting, I like Danny Dimes, but North Carolina, they may be able to
Danny
put
Dimes went to Duke.
Yeah.
Who's
same state. You're thinking of Mitchell Trubisky.
Trubisky? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they're about the same talent level though, so keep it up.
Wait, what was Mitchell's draft number?
He went first
4 years ago. I think he went like second,
4th or 5th, third.
Yeah, he was a top 3 pick.
I know he was picked before Patrick Mahomes. That was a good.
People are a little upset about that.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson, right?
That
or did
one
they
might have
pass on
panned out
Deshaun
a
Watson the
bit
year
better
before?
But I don't know. Yeah, Sam Howell. That's my pick.
Streets.
That's who I'm most intrigued with going into the season, and who coming out of the year probably could move up to the top pick.
So you're on Howe, and I'm gonna shoot it over to Chad. We skipped him on Radler. He doesn't need to talk about Howe, but I know Chad's got a guy that he's had his eye on for a little bit.
So the Desmond Riddler from Cincinnati plays at a small school, plays really, really big. Last year's the first time I saw him when they played against Georgia in the bowl game. And this kid was under duress the whole game. And everybody talks the way about like Patrick Mahomes, how he can make plays with his feet and all that stuff. But what this kid did, and Desmond did, exactly what Patrick, his eyes never left downfield. The first thing I said to Shane, I said, this kid is literally running for his life, but you would never know. They had Cincinnati had no business being in that game. And he put that team on his back and kept them in that game. And they lost a really close one to Georgia. I think it went even to an overtime or an end of the game play. But he did the little things that make NFL caliber quarterbacks. Do I think he's a first round pick? I don't know. I don't know if he has all the skills. I haven't seen lots of tape on him. But in the big game, he was there and he made all the plays. And he was the best player on the field that day. And I think from what I saw, just poise-wise, and the way that he moved, that's an NFL talent.
Yeah, if a guy like Trey Lance is going to get picked in the first round, then Desmond Rattler is definitely Riddler is definitely. I think it's Ritter. Yeah, it's Ritter. Yeah, he's definitely a first round pick. But the guy that I find the most interesting, he might not be a first round pick, but he started for USC when he was 17. Played the entire year, transferred to Georgia. It's JT Daniels. And a guy with that much talent to walk into a group of 20, 21-year-olds and play at 17, he obviously has it. He was in a bad situation. USC has always been kind of toxic. Get him with Kirby Smart. That guy is probably the second best coach in football besides Nick Saban. Oof. And yeah.
Is that one cut deep, Chad?
For college football, yeah, 100%.
No.
Yeah, 100%. And I believe in that guy. I would say he's either a late first round or somewhere in the second round. But that's a guy that I would put behind being a lock to be a starter in the NFL.
So he would, if he gets drafted this year, how old would he be?
He's probably
21,
like
I
20.
believe.
Yeah,
Jeez.
20 or 21.
Would that be like the youngest quarterback?
I think Juju was the youngest.
Oh,
For
was he?
He's
quarterback.
19.
Yeah.
That's just insane. Wow.
And-
Well, no,
But-
he'd be going to his 5th year, so no, he'd be 21.
You certainly got the opposite of Brandon Whedon. You got nothing but time with a kid who's 20 years old. Jeez.
Right.
Lots
Right.
of coaching there.
Exactly. And he's a talented guy. And that would be the guy that I would be looking at, because these other guys, and this thing's going to progress. This is way too early to even talk about it. But the Rathlers and the Howells, they're going to be the 1 and 2 pick until it actually becomes draft season. This guy's going to be in the conversation the whole time, and his stock's not going to move. And I think that I believe in that a little bit more than guys that are going to drop 20 positions because they had a bad Senior Bowl or a bad pro day or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any hockey that you wanted to talk about?
Man, the Habs are
I'm
just
so fucking sick of
us
the
right
Habs.
now.
Sick of them.
Like the amount of money I've lost because of the Canadians. All
Yeah.
they're doing is just being the biggest pests, and they're getting by. And no one likes them. No one wants to watch them. They have a hot goalie. I said that from a couple weeks ago. Don't bet against Carey Price. I stopped betting on them for that reason. Like they have no business being where they are right now. And then to pull out another one, man, like could they go to the Stanley Cup?
Well, yeah, I think so. And the question is, and I mean, we've talked about it before, is they were apparently the overachieving team in the playoffs.
Okay.
But is it fair to say that they underachieved in the regular season?
100%. Well, they were battling some injuries too. They got a bunch of guys back going into playoffs, which helped. But man, like they just got the right amount of grit and they scored just enough and they just find ways to win. Like that's the easiest way to put it. They do nothing special.
And what's crazy is I've said it before, and I'm sure you guys, and you basically just said it there. This is not like, in my opinion, an incredibly built roster. It's not a team that's made to compete. I think they're overachieving. Did you see that Bergevin was nominated for GM of the Year?
How's he not?
Like what? But like everybody. I think anybody that I've talked to that is not a Canadiens fan looks at that team and says they're overachieving. How does he get a nomination for GM of the Year if your team is overachieving?
Right, but like opinions don't win you playoff games. It's like clearly they underachieved in the regular season. They did what they needed to do to get to the point that they're at now. And I mean, everyone's looking for an excuse to why they're winning. Like yesterday, they won, and the excuse is, well, Marc-Andre Fleury didn't play well. Like, are we just ready to say it's okay to say that the Canadians are playing okay?
Oh God!
You know what?
I knew you were
They do enough. It's that simple. They just have to do enough.
Yeah, it's okay. Like, we're fine. I said it. I didn't fucking explode.
Can you imagine if it's them and the Islanders own the Stanley Cup Finals?
I think that the NHL would want to vomit. I mean, at least everybody
Those are two
in the
incredibly passionate fan bases, though. Those are
everybody in
cool
Canada would
hockey.
watch it, and everybody on the East Coast in like the Northeast would watch it, and that's pretty much where the fandom ship would stop for that.
Like I know at least like I took the Lightning to win the take the Stanley Cup in the Final Four. I got pretty decent odds on them.
Yeah.
And oh man, if I lose that, it is what it is. I didn't throw tons of money on it, but it would be worth losing that money just to watch the Canadians in the Stanley Cup, just to piss off Leafs fans. Like, do you know how great that would be?
Yeah.
I'm down with it.
Yeah. Oh, I still don't think that they have enough to get up by Vegas, and I don't think that Marc-Andre Fleury suddenly forgot how to play goalie. I think they just caught him at the wrong time. But yeah, I think that it's fair to say that Bergevin would be GM of the year. And he did just enough to get his team to where he needed to be, and he built the chemistry. Just because he didn't go out and spend millions and millions of dollars to do it, doesn't like that's probably what makes him more. You know, ask Kyle Dubas what it feels like to have 5 guys in your roster that make $10 million and go home in the first
knocked
round.
out by the Canadians.
Jesus, the shots keep coming.
Yeah, well, we might as well start taking digs. But all right, Liam, you got any questions for us? Or are we signing off? Okay. Well, we are going to sign off for another show. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube, check out our Facebook, Instagram. And boys, you got any final thoughts?
Make sure you go to CoolBet.
Yeah, if CoolBet is in your country, then definitely go there because it's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the US. Chad. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers.